Today we're looking at the West Avenue neighborhood, and this is the very beginning of West Avenue, which meets the South of 5th area, which is right over there. Very busy over here. However, this is one of the main points of this area, is that you're literally right next to the highway here. That's just 395, so it's very convenient to jump on the highway here if you need to commute, go to downtown or somewhere else in Miami. So it's a very strategic spot to live here in South Beach. Anybody who watched my South of 5th walking tour part 2 saw that building over there. You got Publix over there, super convenient location. And then first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna walk, instead of on the street, I'm gonna take you guys on the Bay Walk, which is one of my favorite parts of this neighborhood over here. And basically what it is exactly what I said. It's a little bay walk where you can walk along the bay, and there's a couple of private marinas for the buildings here, stuff like that. And I want to bring you guys over here first because I saw that there was a jet ski class happening right here. They're leaving right now. See them all out there? That's the instructor over there. Those guys are like the last ones to leave. They were just giving instructions on what you can and can't do and all of that stuff, and they're off. So if you want to come rent a jet ski, you can do it right here. So this marina right here that you're looking at is a private marina that belongs to the building next to me, which is called the Bentley Bay. And this building is probably the most expensive building on West Avenue. It's funny, like the closer you get to South of 5th, which is a pretty expensive neighborhood, the more expensive the buildings get. No surprise there. But I wanted to start you guys off on the street just so you could see how convenient the location is if you need to jump on the highway every day. It's super close. It's literally right there. You can see they're all out enjoying the jet ski. It's a beautiful day for that too, guys. And this is the Bentley Bay. Units here range from like 600,000 up to like 2 or 3 million, depending on the unit. So it's pretty expensive. But man, I have to say, one thing I just love about doing these walking tours for you guys is even myself, I get to experience Miami Beach in a way that I never have before. I've been down to South Beach a million times, but I've never walked on this bay walk before, ever. I've walked on the one up in the Sunset Harbor neighborhood, which you guys have seen in one of my other videos, but never down here, ever. It's pretty neat. I saw this on the way over here. They have some old school cannon here. I guess that was probably to defend Miami back in the day, and I guess they left it here, not really sure. And this building right here, you guys recently just saw in one of my condo tour videos, that's the Floridian. That was the one with the big bay view and the big price tag. Small unit, big price tag, super high maintenance fee. As most of us agreed in there, is probably not really worth it. But the location is fantastic, and that you can't argue with. Today is like a total beach day, but I had to come down to South Beach anyways to look at a listing for a client. And so I figured, you know, while I'm here, I might as well just use the day and do the walking tour. So that's exactly what I'm doing. But don't worry, I'll be going to the beach tomorrow because it's supposed to be beautiful for like the next week. So work today, play tomorrow. One of the benefits of living in Miami for sure. These guys over here are like trying to get on and off their little kayaks and boats, but there's really no launch here for it, so I can see they're kind of having a hard time. So this little part of the bay walk is pretty short, but there are other sections of it as you go a little bit further north. And I decided to start from the south end of West Avenue and work my way up to the north end of it for a couple different reasons. One, the south end is basically the end of West Avenue. You can't go any further south, so it's basically like the beginning, I guess you could say, not the end. But also, I'm trying to be strategic with the sun. So this way the sun's always kind of like at my back instead of in my face, and even it's out of the camera's face, so it should produce less lens flare, as I always want to make the videos the best experience for you guys as possible. So we started all the way down there, took the bay walk, and now we're going to take the street for a while. There used to be a big old building standing right over there where you see this fence, and since then they've torn it down and they're building something new there. I'm not really sure what. Something new's coming. So West Avenue is pretty much my favorite neighborhood in South Beach besides south of 5th, for a lot of different reasons, which I'll go over in the video. And I've been coming down here since I moved to Miami because I've been inside pretty much every building here on West Avenue, looking at different rentals and sales over the years. And in fact, when I first started my real estate career, I was coming down here every weekend because I was doing open houses at different listings that other agents in my office had, because I didn't have any listings of my own at that point, being brand new in the business. So every Sunday I'd be down here for like 3 or 4 hours doing an open house. And I did that for a whole year. But funny enough, I never actually sold any listings or any properties from doing that. So it ended up being a huge waste of time. And I never did open houses again after that. So this area is a very active area. This is a locals neighborhood for sure. Yeah, right up there. I did an open house at that penthouse unit up there a long time ago at the top, if that's what you want to call it. But anyways, you have all kinds of people that live down here. A lot of singles live over here, but also couples as well. And I even see retirees walking around down here because, like I said, this is a very active neighborhood. Everything you need is walking distance. You have that first Publix back there, and there's another Publix all the way at the north end of West Avenue, which I consider to be a different neighborhood. But while we're over here, let me just show you. Look, you have all these great little restaurants and shops here on West Avenue. And it's mostly locals that dine out over here. Most of these restaurants are pretty decently priced. The food is good. It's really a great area. But you see, there's like families with kids, there's singles, there's retirees, there's younger couples that like staying in shape. You get all kinds of people that live on West Avenue here. this little area, I mean, they have the animal hospital, they have restaurants, there's a coffee shop on the corner, a pizza restaurant. Literally right up here on the corner, which I'll show you guys in a minute, you got Whole Foods right there. Like literally West Avenue has all the stores. You have Publix, you have Whole Foods, and they even have Trader Joe's, which you guys will see at the end of the video. So this location is ideal. The only thing I like better about south of 5th is that it's a lot closer to the beach, because here on West Avenue, the reason why they call it West Avenue is because you're on the bay side of Miami Beach. So to get to the beach, you have to walk a good 9 or 10 blocks west. So yeah, you can walk to the beach from here. It's certainly walking distance, but on a hot day and carrying a bunch of chairs and stuff, it's not really ideal. So you pretty much have to walk all the way down that way. You can't even see the beach because the road kind of curves over there. And Whole Foods is right here, right behind those trees. But obviously, you know, I'm a beach guy. I love the beach. So being close to the beach is, you know, very important for me. But this isn't too bad. I would have one of those little electric scooters or just ride the bike to the beach. It's not bad. And also south of 5th is quieter than West Avenue. Like I said, it's a very busy area. I mean, this road, West Avenue, is always hopping. There's always cars coming up and down here, but there's a lot of buildings on West Avenue. And a lot of locals use West Avenue instead of Alton Road, which is the next road over and like one of the main roads in Miami Beach, because there's always less traffic here on West Avenue than Alton Road. And another perk of this neighborhood is you have housing for everybody. You have these little old buildings like that rent for cheap, you know, $1,200-$1,300, which is cheap for this area. And then right across the street, you literally have the Mondrian Hotel. It's like a condo hotel, which is super expensive. One of the most expensive buildings on West Avenue, besides the Floridian and the Bentley Bay, which we already passed by. There's also been some new development down here. You got this place that's like a hybrid of a parking garage and also some condos. There's also another brand new building up the road a little bit. All these buildings here that you see on the left side of me, they've been there forever, since like, I think the early 60s. These are the Mirador Buildings and the Mondrian Hotel in the middle. And I believe at one point, the Mondrian used to be a part of the Mirador. So you see there's people riding bikes, people riding scooters, people walking, people driving. You can see across the way how many scooters are over there. And those are all locals. Those aren't, you know, the scooter rentals parked across the street there. Those are people that live in these buildings and, you know, use a scooter instead of a car, which is super convenient. A lot of people watching this video probably don't know, but when I first got into real estate, and for many years up until I got my Jeep a couple years ago, I used the scooter to go all over Miami Beach. I didn't drive my Camaro. It's just not convenient, and stick shift and the traffic doesn't work. So I drove a scooter for a good 10 years. That building over there is brand new. And look, we even have some beautiful flowers that we have to stop and admire here on West Avenue. And I'm pretty sure these are the bougainvilleas, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Now that I'm starting to see these all over the place, starting to recognize, seems like that's a very common flower here in Miami and in California. But back to what it costs to live here. Obviously, a new place like this is gonna run you close to $1 million, if not over $1 million. And then, you know, across the street, you got places like this one. It's like semi-affordable, runs in like the mid 200s and higher. And the building right next to it here in the middle, that building is probably the cheapest building on West Avenue. You can get into that building for about 150 grand, and for a rental, I see them go as low as about $11.50 a month, so it's pretty cheap. And it's pretty much all residential, this area. There is a little hostel right over there across the street, but that's pretty much about it. There's another hotel towards the end of West Avenue, but other than that, these are all residential buildings. So that's one of the reasons why I say it's like a neighborhood for locals, because that's mostly who lives here. This building is brand new and literally wasn't here just a couple years ago. I don't even think it's ready yet, but it looks pretty nice, and I'm sure it's pretty expensive. So I've never been inside that building because it's brand new and didn't exist up until now. Sorry for that little swing. This gimbal that I'm using with the microphone is a little touchy because I'm trying to balance everything perfectly, so that way I can give you guys like a smooth ride along with me here, but also some great audio. So sometimes the gimbal might act up a little bit. But you see, you got these little properties over there that have been here forever and are not nearly as expensive as some of these Bayfront buildings. And one thing I'm going to mention as we're getting up to the next intersection here is West Avenue is not just a street. It's also a neighborhood, if you ask me. And the reason why is I'll show you here in just a minute. But we're going to take a little detour up to the left here and actually go down Bay Drive, which, if you ask me, is part of the West Avenue neighborhood. So technically, West Avenue goes a little bit further than I'm going to show you today, but I want to show you what I consider to be the West Avenue neighborhood, and then I'll actually show you the last little bit of West Avenue in a separate video, because I consider that to be part of a different neighborhood, which I'll probably do next. And part of the reason I want to take you guys down this way is because this is all part of the same neighborhood to me, and Bay Road is a very quiet part of West Avenue. So you'll notice how much quieter it gets just by going one more block west, which is pretty incredible, because then you're off that busy street of West Avenue. And by the way, this building right here, the Waverly, is probably one of the best value high-rises in South Beach. The maintenance fees here are high, like the Floridian, but the units are larger, and a lot of them have beautiful views. The building also has similar amenities, and the units are cheaper. Like, I've seen the 2 bedrooms here go for like the 600, 650 instead of the 800,000 that place was asking. So that's a pretty big difference. And this is a pretty pet-friendly area. A lot of people around here have dogs, as most of these buildings do allow pets. Not all of them, but most do. And one of the benefits of that is you got these little dog parks near the bay over here for people that want to come and walk their dogs. There's actually a lot of these little enclaves over here where you can just come by the water. Little miniature dog parks too. So that's very nice and peaceful for anybody that ends up having a dog around here. The views at nighttime, looking over the bay, are just as beautiful as they are during the daytime, trust me. So back here on Bay Drive is all residential. There's really no stores or restaurants back here. But that's one thing that's nice, is it's like really just part of the neighborhood. And then if you want all that, you can just go one block to the right or east. So this entire complex that you guys see on my left is all part of the Flamingo building. It's a pretty popular building down here in South Beach. And in fact, one of my fans of the channel, Corey, shout out to you, Corey. I just did a consulting call with him the other day. He's gonna be moving here. So congratulations to you, Corey. It's pretty awesome. And one thing that's pretty cool over here too is you actually have some single family homes. And there's one empty lot for sale there. I'm sure it costs a fortune. Nonetheless, it's available. And then these units here are like little bungalows, basically. It's a pretty unique type of housing. You literally got your front door right here on the sidewalk. So it's very easy to just walk in and out of your unit, kind of like a little townhouse, really. Even though it is part of the Flamingo complex. So the Flamingo is unique because it has these little bungalow style townhouses, but it also has traditional condos, and it even has short-term rentals here. So they have a little bit of everything. And then across the street, you have some single family homes. So I think what I'll do is I'll walk almost to the end of Bay Drive and then wrap back over to West Avenue and go back south to 13th Street, where I ended up making a left over here to conclude the tour. That way you guys get to see the whole neighborhood. And that's one thing that's kind of nice about breaking it down into these mini segments of Miami Beach, because I'm able to show you more of the neighborhoods. Look at those beautiful plants. Very pretty. Flowers too. And that's the entrance to the Flamingo building, which they've recently changed because they actually used to be able to drive right through here. In fact, the last time I was here, you used to be able to drive. So this is all new now. And talk about active, this place is super active. They have a huge state-of-the-art gym in there. They have a little spot for beach volleyball. They have 2 different pools. They have their own little market. It's like its own little city, actually, the Flamingo. So it's a pretty unique property in Miami Beach. It gets a bad rap because some bad things have happened here over the years. There's been, a couple people killed and things like that. Some drug-related incidents, but overall it's not a bad place. Private luxury townhomes. That also seems new as well. I don't remember seeing that last time I was down here. But I don't come down here nearly as often as I used to. Because basically, when I first started in real estate, I would be running all over town all the time. And as the years went by, I had to do that less and less. Mainly because I started focusing more of my efforts in the neighborhood that I live in and up in that area in North Beach. Just because it's more convenient and there's still business to be had, so there was no reason to keep coming down here, you know? So one thing that's kind of weird about Bay Road is it's a little confusing because you have this little stretch of Bay Road here in South Beach, but if you look on the map, Bay Road actually spans most of Miami Beach, but it gets cut off in several different parts because of the water, since we're basically surrounded by water here. So when somebody tells you they live on Bay Road, you really need to pay attention to the address and where, because there's a lot of different sections of Bay Road in Miami Beach. Check that out. Very pretty. This place has a ton of beautiful plants around here. And you guys are gonna see right now one of my favorite things about Bay Road. And this is something I guarantee probably nobody knows about unless you've lived in Miami Beach for a long time or you know the city well. But you have these little side streets that go off of Bay Road with these quiet little Art Deco buildings and one modern one there, which I forget the name of. And this is just like a total hidden part of Miami Beach where you can still live in and enjoy the West Avenue neighborhood and be like completely out of the madness, which is something pretty much nobody knows about. In fact, for a long time, I didn't even know this existed until I was showing rentals one day and I came to one of these little buildings. And even when I was looking at the address before we really had access to Google Maps and stuff like that, I was thinking, you know, where the hell is this place? Wasn't that easy to find at first. But I'm glad I came over here. Another modern little mid-rise building. And another bayfront spot. How gorgeous is this? You see what I mean? You have like several areas of this bayfront walk. You could walk all the way down that way. There's a little bayfront walk, and it goes all the way a couple more blocks this way. So you have different sections of this bayfront walk, and let's just stop and appreciate how beautiful it is here today, right? And honestly, guys, when I see stuff like this, it reminds me why I love living here. It's just so beautiful. I do love the mountains and a little bit cooler weather, but it's so pretty here. Everything is just visually stunning in Miami, and it's just beautiful to look at. That little area you see over there is Belle Isle, which I'll probably cover along with the Sunset Harbor neighborhood, which is right up that way. I'll cover that in the next walking tour. This is the next little side street here. Looks like this one's going through a renovation. And it's surprisingly affordable to live in these little buildings, guys. I mean, to buy a unit here, you're probably looking at, between 180 to 300,000, depending on the size. And to rent, you're talking 1,500 to maybe 2,200. Talking that's like 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom prices. So it's not crazy. And you don't need a car to live here. Obviously, you see a lot of people do have cars. But if you can live and work in Miami Beach like I do, and you don't need to commute, you can definitely get away without having a car here. In fact, if I moved to Miami without a car, I probably wouldn't have bought one, maybe up until now. Just because now I'm doing the YouTube videos and I'm trying to get around to even more places. I think no matter what, when I'm doing the walking tours, I'm gonna run into the landscaping guys, but I feel like it doesn't come across as loud on the video, so my microphone is pretty awesome. But when you're here in person, man, it's loud. So Bay Road does go for one more block straight ahead, but I'm not going to go that way because I want to show you guys the rest of West Avenue and loop back around so you can see the rest of the neighborhood. And it dead ends over there anyhow, so there's not much to see. And this road that I'm walking on right now, believe it or not, is actually Lincoln Road. And for anybody that's been to Miami before, you probably have heard of or even walked on Lincoln Road, but I'll bet you've never walked on this part of Lincoln Road because most people don't realize that Lincoln Road keeps going a few blocks west after the main part that most people know about, which is straight ahead. So you guys can see there's just like so many people walking around the street, and that's just normal here. You can come down here any day of the week and you'll see the streets hustling and bustling like this. And I always recommend, actually, if anybody's moving to Miami Beach, I always recommend this neighborhood, especially if you're single, because there's so many people you can meet here in this area, and especially all these little restaurants and cafes that, it's not the party scene, it's not the nightlife scene, and you're gonna have a higher chance of meeting somebody who actually lives here instead of a tourist. Even got their own post office right here. Got people working out, running down the street, all kinds of people. You got these city bikes everywhere down here. We have them all over Miami Beach, but you got several of these kiosks down here on West Avenue. So if you don't want to have your own bike, they're super convenient. and it's really not that expensive. If you live here, you can get a monthly pass where you can rent out those bikes unlimited, so that's pretty neat. It's pretty cheap. I think it's only about 25 bucks a month, something like that. I was even thinking about doing that instead of getting one of those electric scooters, but I mean, it's February, guys, and it's like 85 degrees plus humidity. So, and to be honest, I already work out enough between going to the gym 3 days a week, doing my nightly walks 5 days a week, plus these walks. Like, I really don't need more exercise. So that's why I would probably get the electric scooter instead of do these on the bicycle. So this is the point where I'm gonna turn around and go back down the part of West Avenue you haven't seen. But let me just explain that West Avenue technically keeps going further down that way, but I consider this to be a different neighborhood, and I feel like the West Avenue neighborhood ends right here. And over there is just a totally separate neighborhood, even though it's just one little block away. But all these buildings here are brand new. The Residence Inn, Marriott, that Hotel Variety, that's not a new building, but it's totally refurbished. This Trader Joe's has only been here for a couple years, along with this entire condo complex that's on top of it. This is all brand new. So if you haven't been to Miami in a few years and you come down here, this would all be brand new to you. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna backtrack a little bit, and instead of going back to Bay Road, I'll keep you guys going down West Avenue this time. And 1 block east of West Avenue is Alton Road, which is a main road in Miami Beach. And I'll do a walking tour over there at some point too, but I'm not gonna cover it in this video because it's not really part of the neighborhood, just in the sense that it's a main artery of Miami Beach, kind of like Collins Avenue. And I wanted to more showcase the residential side of West Avenue instead of the whole commercial side of it. And even though there's still plenty of places, little stores and restaurants here on West Avenue, but there's plenty more on Alton Road, which is just 1 more block over. Plus you got Lincoln Road here. The location is fantastic, guys. It's definitely not the quietest neighborhood of Miami Beach, but one of the coolest. So that's the area we just came from, but instead of going back that way, we're gonna go straight ahead. As you can see, Lincoln Road, West Avenue. And the famous part of Lincoln Road is right down that way. I gotta say, walking down here is kind of like walking down memory lane for me. Coming down here to do all these open houses. If only I would have been shooting these YouTube videos back then instead, huh? I didn't know any better. At least I know now. To be honest with you guys, this is becoming one of my favorite types of videos to shoot for you. It doesn't get the most views. They get a decent amount of views, but they're definitely some of the most fun and interesting for me to make because, like I said earlier, I get to see Miami Beach from a whole new perspective. I mean, I'm literally gonna end up walking every inch of Miami Beach for you and showing you everything here. which I think is just awesome. How many people can say that they have walked every single street in Miami Beach? It's pretty neat. Can't say that yet. I look forward to being able to say it. Bougainvillea, right? That's what we got here? I think so. Wouldn't be a proper walking tour without stopping to appreciate this. And it's just some random little yard, but it's pretty. Right down there is a place called Bodega. It's a very popular little taco bar here. And they also have like a nightclub in there too, which is something pretty interesting. So you don't even have to go far for nightlife over here on West Avenue either. A lot of people automatically go to the clubs on Ocean Drive and Collins Avenue, but you don't have to go that far if you want a little action over here too. In fact, whenever the walking tour is done, I'm even going to enjoy part of the West Avenue neighborhood and treat myself to a little lunch afterwards. It's something I haven't done yet, doing these walking tours, but since I'm right down here and so close, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna try a new place called Pura Vida. It looks really good and not expensive either. They got like this chicken and avocado bowl. It's only like 11 or 12 bucks. Looks like a lot of food. Sounding real good right now. And that's gonna be my breakfast. But when you look at West Avenue on the map, it looks like a very long street. But trust me, it's not as long as it feels, especially if you walk it. You'd be surprised on how fast you can walk all of West Avenue. And then if you have a bike, obviously you're shortening things up to just a few minutes to get anywhere here. I actually tried doing an apartment tour in this building the other day. And then when I got there, there was somebody living there. So I didn't want to shoot it, especially because I didn't want them waiting for me and kind of just like watching what I'm doing. And I feel like I'm in a rush to do it. So I decided not to do it. But I'm going to get some more places down here eventually. And I don't know why, but this West Avenue neighborhood reminds me a little bit of LA. Just with a lot of these little low-rise buildings, which obviously they have all over the place there. The tropical feeling, all the people on the street walking around. Very old house. Don't even have central air. They got the wall air conditioners in there. And that's the Flamingo too. We walked past that coming back the other way. And that little hotel is so beautifully landscaped. Another little hidden oasis here in Miami. We got another brand new building going up right here. I'm pretty much out of the loop on what's happening with all these new construction projects, mainly because I just don't care anymore, since my main focus is YouTube, not selling real estate, and I have plenty of clients and business, so I'm not really in the know of every single project that's going on here anymore. But I do know that everything that they're building is very expensive. That's my one gripe with all the new construction here, is pretty much everything they're building is for millionaires. They don't build anything for the average Joe anymore. And I understand from their point of view, you have a limited amount of land and space and you want to maximize your profit as a developer. That's really the reason behind that. But it does gentrify the area even further and kick everybody out who's not rich, basically. So this is where we made the turn, right by the Waverly. And that's going to conclude the West Avenue neighborhood, guys. Hope you like this tour, and I'll see you on the north end of West Avenue in the Sunset Harbor neighborhood next.